Okay, Lee, going back to the March the 4th session, how did you feel when you were doing the session throughout?
All right, so we did 10 minutes at 90 on 30 seconds walk at all day race pace, all day running pace.
So that was a marathon pace, wasn't it?
No, less than easy.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Then I did 90 seconds on 30 seconds at marathon
and that
pace.
was marathon pace.
30 seconds was a jog, and the marathon pace was the 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Then we did 10 minutes of
10k pace.
Half marathon pace.
Yeah.
So 90 on and then 30 recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did that 5 times.
And then it dropped after that, didn't it? It would have been, was it
10k?
80, 40.
Yeah, so 80, 40 at 10k pace.
Yeah.
And then finally at 70, 50 at 5k pace.
Yeah.
Yep, so went okay. Got, like I say, it took me about 40 minutes to warm up, but the last set was pretty good.
Okay.
Started feeling loose, getting some good pace going.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely at 5k pace, but I'm not sure how effective that just running at 70 seconds at that pace would be. But I suppose the cumulative effect of the whole session would make it potentially effective. So yeah, it was good 60-minute run in total with warm up and cool down.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, sounds good. And on Saturday, obviously, you did your Park 5k as well.
Yeah.
And if you remember on that, I asked you to just to try a different tactic.
Yeah.
Was to run with the person in third place on the race on the day, and then about 2,000 metres from the line or so, then see if you could catch up with the person in first if there was any gap at all. So what happened there? How did that go?
Followed instructions. I stuck in that the pack essentially, but it was the lead kept changing over. There was 4 good runners that ended up being on the front, so I was kind of in that third place that you told me to. And then about 3k, 2 guys at the front started picking up the pace, and I went with them at that point.
Yeah.
And then managed to get to the last 100 metres or so in the lead.
Yeah.
And then the guy who finished second was with me, he wanted to win more than I did, and sprinted to the line, and I just carried on at my normal pace to the line. He did 17:13, I did 17:19, but I was totally exhausted by the end of it.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, totally exhausted.
That's obviously some progression though. Looking back on week 1, your time was 17:30.
Yeah, 17:30. Yeah,
11
so it's
seconds.
PB on that course. Absolutely, yeah, it's good, and it's a bit windy as well.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of moments where we were stepping in and around people, so that would have obviously had an effect on the time. Yeah. So yeah, I was definitely as quick as I could have gone for 5k on that day.
Brilliant. Sounds like you did well.
Yeah.
We'll have a rethink of the tactic a bit nearer the time. We'll come up with something else for you to have a go at.
Yeah.
So going on to today's session, which was the 8th of March. Tuesday the 8th of March. March. Yeah, it is April. We did a hill sprint set.
Yeah.
So we did 85 to 95% maximum efforts.
Yeah.
Hill sprints, obviously with correct technique, up a steep gradient hill, which then went onto a slight flat at the top for about 20 metres. We continued the pace up there as well.
Yeah.
Before the session, we also did a good 20 minute warm up of things like strides, and increased the pace slightly. And and then after we completed the hill sprint set, we then did a bit of a fartlek run with added in sprints of about 30 metres or so.
Yeah.
At around 95% effort on the flat.
Yeah.
So how do you think all of that went today?
Good warm up. Definitely ready to do the session, especially after the first 1 or 2 reps. That was a bit of a shock running at that intensity at the hill, but it wasn't 100%. It was definitely about 90-95%. I held back a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I managed to maintain my pace throughout the whole 10 hills.
Yeah.
And was recovering within about 20-30 seconds, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good.
Yeah, certainly better than I did.
Yeah. And yeah, it was quite a shock. Yeah, it was definitely a different way of running. But you know, I mean, that might be something which jolts my aerobic fitness up to the next level again.
Yeah.
Doing things that I'm not used to doing. I'm not so sure about the sprint set on the park.
No.
Although I found that really hard, but that was just, I'm not sure it was relevant to improving aerobic fitness. I suppose it was overall, if you add it all up, but it was, I think you gave me some instruction on my technique, didn't you, about high heels, high knees and moving your arms, and that definitely helped, but it was a little bit too anaerobic. I think if I'd have, maybe we could have done it for longer.
What, the distance longer?
Not possibly. Could have done, but I mean, to make it more relevant to the 5k, or that, rather than kind of 400 meters.
Yeah.
Maybe take a bit of the intensity off, and just do more of it.
Okay.
Yeah. With so we were working 200 on, 200 off, basically, weren't we?
Yeah.
Or maybe 100 on, 100 off. So if we did 15 minutes of that, but at 80%, rather than 100%, which is pretty much where we were. Yeah, but again, that was a shock running that quickly, because I haven't run that quickly for a while.
Okay.
So again, it's change, isn't it? That might help me with my running speed when I just step back off that a little bit. So it could have some, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll.
Give it a try. I'm not saying I don't want to do it again. I'm just.
I'll relay it a bit to make it a bit more enjoyable, perhaps.
No, I enjoyed it. I think the problem with me running is I've fallen into this pattern of just going out running.
Yeah.
And working,
rather than having
70% maximum heart rate, 6-minute mile pace, 6:30 pace, or even on a hard session, it's always, the standard thing, isn't it? 5:30 pace, 5:15 pace at the quickest.
Yeah.
Whereas that session is just totally different. It's they're both, it's totally out of my comfort zone today.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily saying it won't work, because that might be what I needed, something to shock me into improving, my aerobic fitness.
Okay. And what did you think of the overall technique that I was using today? Because obviously, in the hill sprints part, I was running the session with you, and I tried demonstrating some of the techniques which would obviously assist you getting up the hill.
Yeah.
And obviously, when we then moved on to the flat on one of the sprints, I then dropped behind you.
Yeah.
And was watching your technique to see how you were doing.
So then, I don't suppose it wasn't mirroring, was it? Was it mirroring when you were running up? I was running together. I think by having you there as a partner definitely helped. I wouldn't have probably worked that hard on my own.
Yeah, that extra 5% maybe.
Yeah, especially when you were, shouting out instructions of different things to do to help getting up the hill, like pumping your arms, and that definitely helped getting up the hill. And that encouragement. Again, you were definitely the coach today. I totally stepped back and let you just, run the session. And that was quite nice, not having to do that and just think about what I was doing physically rather than having to work, think about, giving instructions out. So yeah, that worked really. I thought it was very effective. And again, you were kind of, although you were doing the session today, you stepped back quite a few. You were pacing me to a certain extent, weren't you? But when you stepped back and you had a look, and then you come back in, you give me some critique on how to improve my technique. Again, that was effective, and I think, and I think I made an adjustment straight away to my technique, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I think that seemed to.
Oh yeah, it improved. A lot. Maybe what from a personal thing, I could possibly do that a bit sooner in the session.
Yeah.
So then obviously because there were probably sometimes you were doing things and I didn't notice, so maybe sooner in the session.
But having, there was only 2 of us there today, but having you actually doing the session as well as coaching it definitely helped.
Yeah.
I think if I was running that session on my own with you stood on the sidelines, that might have been quite difficult today.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah. But I thought you were really effective.
All right.
With your instructions.
Fantastic.
It was a good, really well thought out session. Good warm up. Nicely thought out in terms of what you wanted to achieve. Nice warm down. Had some structure to it.
Okay. Brilliant.
So good job, coach.
Oh, cheers. £100.
That's what it should cost.